guess we can just introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Troy?
Well, hello, I'm the Ranch Fairy. My name is Troy Fowler. I live in Austin. I'm a cheesy sales guy who arbitrarily started the channel about shooting high efficiency hunting arrows. And it went a little bit crazy. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, but here we are.
I bet you didn't understand it looking at your earlier videos.
I didn't expect any of that stuff to happen.
Darrel.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Darrel Barnett. I got involved in archery just recently over the last maybe 5 years or so. Before that, I designed projectiles for the government and especially for electromagnetic rail guns. Turns out the aerodynamics are the same roughly for something that travels at Mach 5 as it does for like arrows at Mach 0.5. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. It's something that you can play around with in your backyard rather than having to go to a test range. And so I naturally just gravitated towards that. And then I found Troy online, and the rest is history. And here I am
for 18
today.
months, if I'm not mistaken, didn't want to meet him because he had a fairy at the end of his name. Like I said, I watched all the videos. I did my due diligence and homework.
I've been married for 35 years.
Yeah, I don't think that's the first time that he's had that.
That's not the first time, yeah. I went through all the crap in the beginning. When I posted up, put my name up, I got all the cheap shots and stuff. It was awesome.
Like I said, I mean, all in the army, all leg.
Yeah, right.
Or leg or backwards.
Yeah, right. I never.
Or Jill, backwards.
The one thing was a stroke of genius, and I'm not a marketing person. I'm a totally shit sales guy, but it's so unique. Nobody forgets it. If I'd have said Troy Fowler Bow Hunting Channel, people would have said, "Who's that guy?" Right? And because I used the Ranch Fairy brand, which was a sheer stroke of luck. Because in Google, you're either really popular or really unique, right? And the name sticks, so nobody forgets it. Love or hate me, and there's a lot of this latter.
Yeah.
I trust me, until I wrap my head around it, I frankly disagree on a lot of points with you.
Yeah, that's right.
It hit me not too long ago, that just combination.
A 50 BMG is quite efficient, and not a whole lot faster than a 300.
BMG.
A 50 cal.
Oh, yeah,
rifle.
yeah, just a little.
They're very efficient. That projectile's big.
Yeah.
On soft targets, it's very good. They tell me. I have not done that.
No, I mean, you're supposed to only shoot equipment with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
pistol belt is an equipment.
Yeah, right. It depends on what equipment is. That's awesome.
It's an equipment. But anyway, yeah, so gentlemen, thank you for letting me take some of your time.
Glad to be here.
I do have some questions about you, us, and then about subjects. As, I don't know if we recorded it or not, but when I start talking about me rebuilding my arrows.
Okay.
So they are my questions that I got. They as the thoughts came in, so they're sporadic. We'll be jumping from Mike and 12. Not laws to me, they're not laws, but
Ashby's factors.
The 12 factors.
The 12 factors
Yep.
to if you have ever stopped the hogs.
Okay, sure.
So,
We'll go wherever. I don't care. We're easy.
Yeah. Based on the test that you've been working with Darrel, and Darrel, you was Troy, over the last few years, have you guys determined somewhat of an optimal place to start, let's say, with Ranch Fairy test kit? Like, for example, I remember in one of the last later videos you said that it was a video with THP, and I think it was they start using their nicknames, and I can't keep up with them. The kid,
Ted.
yes, Ted. When he was shooting his
bucket hat.
right.
Yep.
When Ted was shooting when you gave him the arrows, you mentioned that you right away, knowing his brace and poundage, you right away knew how short the arrows or how long the arrows should be and how much point weight he needs.
Now, it's funny that question has come up a ton.
Oh, I bet you've opened it up.
And they've said, I shoot about what Ted, I get all these emails all the time. I get 1,000 messages a month, and it's all arrow tuning. And I hope everybody. And so that particular comment has stuck more than anything. And
we live in in immediate gratification society.
Yeah, right.
And especially with all the gadgets and everything. So yeah, I mean, no one wants to.
so he shoots 60 at 27 and a half.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And I knew right off the bat that a 300 spine arrow with 225 grains up front is a pretty reliable, what I call
Starting point.
spitball, right? Now that arrow is 550 grains, and you put a good broadhead on the front.
So hold on, when you say arrows 550 grains, that's before broadhead?
No, that's all in.
That's total,
Insert,
yeah.
broadhead, all the whole shaft, the whole 9 yards. So I handed them that shaft. Now I know our testing has shown. I mean, talk about the fletch. When we talk about the fletching test we did, because this is crazy.
Oh, that
So
might
let's-
kill the hell out of you.
Right? No, it's interesting because we didn't expect this.
Are you talking about the FOC, where
No,
we shot out
we-
the arrow gun? And
No,
did
we
the
cranked
fletching?
all the fletchings up. We had the ones that were 3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
Oh, yeah.
And we got crazy results.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of people think that when you roll an arrow, right, that increases the stability of the arrow, and it does not. Actually, what you're doing is you're increasing the accuracy of the arrow, but accuracy and stability aren't the same thing. You can have a super stable arrow that's not very accurate. And I haven't talked about this on video before, but just because an arrow is stable doesn't mean it's gonna hit where you aim it. It could be flying off here, but it could be flying super stable in that direction when your target's over here, right? So one of the things that Troy and I did was try to examine what different effects of roll rate are on the flight of the arrow. And what we found is there's a limitation on how fast and a lower limit on how slowly you want to roll
I
that
remember
arrow.
that in the last THP video.
In the THP video.
Looking one because that was the one biggest
Yeah.
question.
So basically what we found is somewhere around 4 degrees is a good compromise to start with.
Helical or offset.
Helical or offset.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know what we're talking about, go on THP's channel, find the videos they recorded, watch a couple times, and you will.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a starting point, I wouldn't start at 1 degree, and I wouldn't start with 0. That's the worst
Don't
place.
shoot a knuckleball.
Don't shoot a knuckleball. And the thing about shooting bows is you can't really see what the arrow is doing a lot of the times unless you have a camera that's a slow motion camera watching the arrow. It looks good. I mean, a lot of times you're focused on trying to get the shot right. You shoot, it hits the target. You think, wow, it must have been a great shot. It looked fast and everything looked good about it. Then you go back and play video of that particular shot, and you may see, well, it came up and it pitched a little bit. It rolled this way and then it stopped and it rolled that way. You really can't tell from the target impact everything that might have happened between the bow and the target. And so that's why I'm saying things like what Troy's saying, 550 grains, high FOC, 4 degree fletching, those are good starting points, and vary around a mean that is a good mean rather than starting off over here and trying to swing all your thought processes over to here. Start out with a little bit heavier arrow, a little bit higher FOC, maybe a larger fletching than you might normally start with, and make sure you're in the ballpark for getting good results, and then tune around that. And I think we're both saying the same thing.
Right,
Matt.
and so we're still, Ed's 650 grain arrow with as many of the 12 factors as you can get, and 99% of the people who go to 650 are shooting 11 factors, are not shooting a tapered shaft. If you're gonna give up one thing out of 12 factors, give up the tapered shaft, because the shafts are so widely available. Like parallel arrows, there's so many brands. So if you're gonna give one thing up,
I'm gonna get to the parallel.
give that up.
the
But
regular, yeah.
where I wanted to go with that was we shot 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 degree fletchings, trying to spin it so fast that it would not
But they're
destabilize.
so loud. The further you go in degree,
Oh,
the
wow.
further you go in degree, they're so
What
loud.
happened was, between 1 and 6, the arrows flew they went, normal like this and went to the target. And then when we really cranked them, they started doing that. They were spinning like crazy, but on high speed, they didn't look that bad in the air.
I have to try it.
But
Yeah.
they were literally flying. There was a loop. I think the 15 did okay. The 12,
Did you tape it?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta put it in the channel.
We will. The 12 degree was like that big around in a circle, and the point was doing pretty good. And we shot the bear shafts, and I shot one that went in like that.
Oh, you had a better shaft with
I got a 350 spine arrow. It's way too soft for my bow.
right, but
Put
Not with a
500
broadhead,
grains up front.
just a field point.
oh, I was gonna say you shot better shaft with
Yeah.
broadhead. I'm like,
No, bear shaft
Okay.
broadhead's bad, but we put like 400 grains up front on a super soft arrow.
Oh yeah.
And it flew and went like this, and it tore. It was almost full length. And then we put fletchings
I
on
wouldn't
it,
be surprised.
and it actually shot kind of okay.
Yeah.
So to his point, the launch with no shaft, with no fletchings, is the same launch, but the fletchings are lying to you.
It's like floating the boat right off the gate without
Yeah.
That's exactly
right. No steering.
No steering.
Yep.
So here's what I like to say. There's a quote in the Bible or a verse in the Bible that says, "Love covers a multitude of sins."
Right?
Right? Fletching covers a multitude of sins. Fletching is love to an arrow, right? Put fletching on your arrow. Blazer vanes are a good start. They're small, but they're tall. They get out in that free stream flow, and they're highly effective. And the guys at Blazer know this. That's why they did that, right? Start with good equipment, known equipment. I'm just telling you, based on that THP video where I go in depth about how arrows fly, FOC is your friend when it comes to arrow flight.
Well, on that subject, I know in that same video you said that you shoot in the relapse, you shoot about 2% of that works great for you, the offset. I have a question. Like I said, I guess right now, it's a current thing that's sitting in my head and I haven't kicked it out yet, is that sound. Like I said, I have videos where I can see shooting from like maybe 25 yards. I can see doe like that completely.
The deer.
Doe, yeah, here, right now. And I know it because of sound. Whether in 25 yards, bow shoots, the thick arrows, I'm shooting carnivores, 250 spine.
Okay.
Like I can hear the arrow flying. Like,
Okay, so.
you know what I mean? But what I was going to ask Darrel is, so I'm thinking, I was shooting Blazers 3 prom with much bigger offset.
Okay.
I'm thinking what I've been playing over the last week is I've got some AE Pro Max, so they're smaller, but I want to do four fletch. Do you think it will be enough to offset the lift?
Oh, yeah.
Because once again, I already watched that last video with THP like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I do have a 6-inch sticker on the back, so it will be easier
Oh,
to
you
take.
have a wrap.
Wrap, yeah. It makes it so much easier to take on
Yeah,
fletching.
they're adhesive too, they stick.
Yeah, plus it gives you a little bit of weight to the back.
Yeah.
My arrow is still somewhere in 16, 18 at FOC.
Good.
Was a thing, so it doesn't matter. But with that sticker and smaller vanes, but 4, do you think it will do the trick as far as steering the arrow?
I do, actually. And it's easy to add another vane, right? If you've already got the vanes in your equipment box, the best way to experiment is not run to the store every time you want to get a new vane.
No, I got a box of 100.
Yeah, okay. Then add another vane to start with. Now, here's the downside, but it's not much of a downside. You're going to increase the drag of the arrow, okay? But ballisticians know this, people who shoot guns know this. It's the ballistic coefficient of the arrow that makes the difference. Now, what is that? It is the ratio of the mass of the arrow to the drag of the arrow. So the mass of the arrow is fairly high. You increase the drag just a little bit, you still have a high ballistic coefficient, so you're not going to affect your trajectory very much by adding that 4th vane. You are going to add some more drag, but you're also going to add some stability because that 4th vane is going to add more lift on the back end to restore any kind of errors you might have accumulated in flight or launched with an error. It's going to help mitigate that error as the arrow is flying.
So I want to
downrange.
cover the sound thing.
Yes, the sound thing.
You're never going to beat it. So hang on. I'm going to tell you.
No, I was just going to say.
It's not bad to try to make them quieter.
It's precisely, yeah.
Okay. However, as humans, you hear this thing? buzzing right here? We are in a very noisy ecosystem all the time. Horns honking, people talking. You're here at the hotel, people laughing, going down the hall. We don't even realize the amount of noise we live with.
Like those, yeah.
When you go out in the woods, your ears ring because there's no sound. And the animals don't make noise because the predators will hear them and go over there and see what the hell's going on. So I'm pretty convinced, but I don't know how to prove it because I've never been a deer, that I know when you shoot anything through the atmosphere, it makes noise. To me, I think, can't prove it, that to a deer it sounds like a helicopter. It's a humongous amount. I don't care, the quietest arrow in the world, because they never hear noise.
Well, maybe because they heard it already a couple times.
Well, things have flown out.
Fly, no. I mean the arrows flying by them.
Yeah, right.
So they're already associated with
They
it.
shot at.
Not a good, exactly.
Animals don't get to go inside and hide. They're 24/7, they're being hunted.
Right.
So and one of the archery guys told me this one time, and he's a biologist, and he said, you're hunting the top survivors. The fat ones got eaten.
Yeah.
So the animals we're shooting at are Olympic athlete level. They've survived childhood, and they've made it 3 years, 24/7, laying out in the bushes.
And
then
Darwinism also had an effect.
So
on
they're
thousands
already
of years,
wired
yeah.
to survive, and then you fire something at them that's real slow and makes some noise, and it's coming at them. And they've heard that crap before, birds and birds of prey, things running at them. So I don't think we'll ever make a stealth arrow.
That is not a question. I mean, it's going to
But there's no
vibrate, it's
reason
going
to make
create some.
noise.
Well, question is, I mean, depending on how loud, at least in my mind, depending on how, first of all, unstable.
Absolutely, if it's unstable, it's going to make a ton of noise.
Plus, let's assume the arrow is squared off, knock, or thrown, everything is. My goal is, I would still think, because of, let's say I'm shooting in the woods, so I'm shooting here, there are going to be other things that are either potentially blocking sound until a certain point.
Absolutely.
I understand within 6 yards to the animal, but at least then the chances of it moving somewhere, you know, like I said in my video, arrow was not halfway to the animal, like at least good 15 yards, and the animal already was hitting the belly.
You also have animals that are
That
really
was-
on point too. Like some of these, I hunted a place in Fredericksburg, out in the hill country here, and we stopped bow hunting on November 10th every year because it was not fair. It wasn't even right. The animals were so on point, you did not know where you're going to hit them.
Oh, in that sense?
It was not
No, I
ethical.
understand.
They were so jumpy, it wasn't ethical.
I understand. No.
I mean, 15 yards, you had no idea where that arrow was going to hit that deer. So we would hunt, we would hunt bucks up to like the 10th of November, and we'd pull the rifles out and start calling and shoot a bunch of does. It literally, I mean, the landowner said after the third year, on the third year, he said, we got to stop. We don't know where we're going to hit them.
Well,
And it's just a decision we made.
no, I respect that. I respect
From here to
that.
the wall, you're doing pretty good, but that's hard to get close to a deer and draw a bow. From here to the wall, I can hit them. But 15 yards, we were shooting them in the butt. It was unbelievable. Some of them would spin so hard, they'd be broadside, and the arrow would enter in front of in the guts and come out right here sometimes. That's how much they spun in 15 yards. Most of the time they dropped it, hit them bad. So that's that.
I guess let me pick up on something that y'all had mentioned and reiterate. The best flying arrow is going to be the quietest arrow.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you have yaw and pitch, if you have veins that are fluttering or broken or torn or wrinkled, whatever, it's going to make noise.
It's going to
right?
vibrate, it's going to hit the air.
Yeah, and they, you can hear that or feel it. They're survivors, like Troy's saying.
And I've actually tested this. Big Mike Tanaka had me do this. I cut a piece of paper in the shape of a parabolic, 4-inch long. I just took a parabolic and cut it out the same shape. A dead straight, I turned a fan on high, and I stuck it on a stick. And a dead straight version flapped more than one that was torqued. It was helical. It was bent.
Yeah, right.
Right, so it's got a little bit of flex to it.
Yeah.
But that straight one would just start going, and you don't even want to know what bangs are doing in the air. There's slow motion videos out there, and the minute they let go, the air fletchings they go all over the place. They don't even go the same direction. It's crazy. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. So, your best flying arrow is going to be your quietest one, and that's a point you can't harp on enough. If you're talking about you want the best consistency, the best place to start
Is around 4%.
Aero flight.
arrow flight, right? To get the best out of your bow that you can. Don't shoot damaged fletching. Don't shoot bows with blood all over them, right? Don't shoot something that shoot the best that you can do, right?
Well,
the animal
I
deserves
shoot
that.
bloody arrows all the time. You're making me sad.
But in the same, at the same time, by just stripping the feathers, I've seen
Yeah,
the videos.
replace them.
Yeah, I mean, I bear shaft them to 20 yards.
Then you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can get a bear shaft to fly, then you know it's as efficient as it's going to be.
Catch 22. I have a Luminox for lightning nuts. Man, I swear to God, I shot and I shot. My regular good old plastic knot, tuning. I'm shooting, and I have 2 arrows. I know they bowl straight and everything. I'm shooting. Spend probably half a day until it's done on me. Take the duck on Luminox off, put an arm running upstairs to spin the arrows, took the freaking spinner downstairs. Took the Luminox off, put it in the arrow that just shot the bullet hole. 1, 2, 3, same.
Yeah, I know you changed the knock though.
Right, no,
You
but
got a
it was
bear
that
shaft with
specific. No, but I switched knocks on both arrows. So the arrow that Luminox was on originally, and then I looked at it, it was kind of damaged, so it was kicking it off.
Yeah. Very small things, but you're talking about
Half a day.
You're talking
Archery's
about
all
the thing-
details, man.
Yeah, it is the detail, because now you're thinking about the very interface. Just like we talk about, it's the point of the arrow that kills the animal, right? It's the rear end of the animal, the rear end of the arrow that interfaces with the launcher, right? So the things you really want, I mean, there's only really 3 or 4 basic parts here. The things you want to be as perfect as you can make, you want a sharp broadhead, you want a good knock, and you want good fletching, right? And a straight shaft. And you get those to start with, then you do the other things that we're talking about, you're gonna be a long way towards being successful, both with your tuning and with your harvesting on the other end. If you don't wanna put your effort into that, well, let somebody else, pay somebody to do it. Get the best equipment in the arrow that you can, because the arrow doesn't care what boat launched it, neither does the animal care. Nobody cares, right? If all your camo matches and your bow matches and everything's color coordinated, what difference does it make? What makes the difference is this guy right here, right? Tune your bow, get your best launch possible, get the best arrow possible, and you'll be a long way down the road towards being successful.
And I'm going
out
to
in the
stuff
field.
something in here, and then we're going to keep moving. If you're spending $1,400 on a bow, God knows what on camouflage, and you book all kind of hunts and all this crap, and then you buy the cheapest broadheads on the earth, you might as well not go.
No freaking.
The only thing that
You
kills
must.
animals is broadheads. That's it.
No questions.
And I got a lot of people who say, hey, I'm on a Matthews, I'm trying to find a budget build. And I'm like, well, what kind of broadhead you planning to get? And I'm like, they're like, oh, cheapo, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap. You should have spent a ton of money on perfect arrows and got a pretty good launcher.
Prime example, THP. I mean, they buy the cheapest bows as long as the arrow is tuned.
I just got one. I just
You
got
got another
the adapt.
dig?
I got the THP bow. It came in
Oh,
last
never
week.
mind. I thought you
I'm
got
shooting it right now.
Dig Junior.
I don't care. I don't care. It's just a launcher, and he's made it worse. I mean, he's made it worse.
What
It's
is it?
just
What is
no. The more I talk to him, it's a stupid spring. You're buying a stupid spring, and you're impressing your friends with how cool your spring is. All it is, you go like this: dynamic, boink, snap. That's a bow. But there's a ton of cool stuff in that. Just get a simple launcher and spend money making these great. And you said half a day, right? You got
Oh no, that half a day just to figure out the knock
Right.
was messed up.
Yeah.
right. That's because you care now, right? There's a lot of people who go, those are probably good enough, but I got me a $1,400 launcher and it's sweet. Got some back bars, wing dinger, flipper flappers.
Looks good in camp.
Looks good in camp.
No, but
And you got
here's,
crappy sticks.
here's another thing. All my arrows were fine-tuned and everything, and I cut those 2 inches off.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
You
but
changed the whole thing.
So I'm
That's a big mistake.
It's not. Pigs is good. Deer hunting is like hunting. You know this. We'll do worse if you want to let it go. So like that is. So ultimately, I'm prepping for October 1st.
Okay.
So 90, 60 day thing from last year.
Yeah.
That thing right there.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, let's keep moving down your list. We'll never get anywhere.
we will not gonna get anywhere.
Okay. Well, then pick out what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a sec. Have you ever stalked hogs?
Yes. Killed them with dogs and stuff.
Do you like it?
It's fun.
Stalking?
Oh, at nighttime it's awesome. And you've been through.
But hold on, we're talking about was firearms or was bow and arrow?
No, with a knife and a dog. Stuck them?
Oh, like that?
Mhm.
No, stalk.
Oh, I stalk all the time. Yeah. So
forgive me.
the reason why I don't have stalking
Excellent.
videos is because it's hard. I don't have a cameraman. I've tried
And
it.
then
It's
yeah.
almost impossible. We have really good stalking in our place. In the springtime when it greens up, they come out in droves in all the sows and drop piglets and they're starving. And they'll just get out in the middle of the pasture. I've done a lot of 12 gauge work with that and it is delightful. A semi-automatic with a turkey choke and BBs and 3-inch mags and just doom, 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 doom. It will flat smash them. And that tungsten tee shot that they shoot coyotes with, oh, it's so much fun. I'm a pretty damn good shot. I shot the triggers out of my shotgun when I was a kid. I shot so much trap and skeet. I love shooting birds. I can hit a pig running. They run straight. They don't dove you. They don't do this or anything. They're just going straight. You just put it on their nose and keep swinging.
Yeah, I have
Boom.
Yeah, I know about that. But then we went out to this place up north, North Texas. 2 brothers running it. I'll look up the name. I'll put it in the description. First of all, fine job. I mean, we were one of, I guess, I don't know. First time we went out was friends. So we drove from Illinois. To the point of the agreement was that if we don't get to shoot one day, we don't pay for that day. They stuck to the award. So I mean, awesome outfitter. They give you your own ammo. We shot 7.76 from AR platforms.
Oh, yeah.
It was there in NVGs. They had a drone with NVGs looking for pigs. It was totally
Oh,
cool.
wow, that's awesome.
And then they would walk us on. They would make sure that group lines up, so there would be a crossfire. So they're watching us, and then they give us command to start to open up. It was awesome.
Oh, it's a blast.
I mean, they running straight. We put down 11 pigs. I think I got shot like 6 or 5 of them. Because only my scope had recording. It was awesome, but they do run straight. It's
Right, they run straight, so you just put it on their nose and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
If you hit them a little back, shoot them again.
All right, I'm trying to. Have all kinds of when to come to Texas questions, but we'll skip on that. Well, here's an interesting question for me. Obviously, in Illinois, we don't have pigs yet, at least not in northern Illinois.
We will.
Matter of time, understood. How do you see, like on your range, how do you see them interacting, living in the same area, pigs and deer?
So that's an interesting question. There's a lot of people trying to figure out if we should eradicate them, get rid of them because they're feral. There's a lot of people talking about poisons for them. And my biologist is a endangered species and threatened species specialist. For instance, he studied mountain lions. A bunch of green weenies got a bunch of money together to study mountain lions. They went out and studied them and said, wow, there's a crap load of them. Whoops, don't piss your money up a rope. They found out there were mountain lions everywhere. It's a great story, right?
Yeah,
Because you just
yeah.
don't see them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I asked them about this because they eat fawns.
Yeah, pigs
They will eat fawns.
They will.
They take up their spot in the
They will
ecosystem.
actually attack on these funds?
No, they'll just eat them. They'll just catch them and eat them. They don't attack them.
Really?
They just go, yeah,
Oh,
fawn.
good one.
Turkey eggs, quail eggs.
Well, yeah.
Right? So they're hard on the ecosystem. That being said, I talked to my biologist and I said, what do you think of them? And he said, it's too late. The toothpaste is out of the tube. They're part of the ecosystem. It's a pizza. We don't know how many pieces there are. So there's quail, doves, turkey, deer, birds, coons, and pigs. if we kill all of them, what happens?
Something's gonna upset.
You're making a hole. I said, what do you think we should do? He said, treat them like predator control. Try to keep them in check, you never will, but don't not shoot them. And treat them like predators and try to keep them down. But he said, I think if we eradicated them, because they've been here 50 years, that they've been, this problem that they said, and you're playing God. And you don't know what happens when you take them out.
And that's not our job as Darrel's.
That's not our job. He's the smart one, he can figure it out.
Like I said, that's his job. Play God. No.
So the advantage of it is, and I'm surprised nobody thought about this before, but you cannot test on deer. You can't test on game animals. You can't take a deer and do what Ed did. It's illegal. It's wanton waste.
Well, yeah.
Okay?
Unless
So you
you
can't
use
shoot them, and
Yeah,
tear them
yeah,
up.
yeah.
It is actually illegal to waste them that way. But the pigs have no rules. And then I said, well, holy smokes, I got all these pigs. I can test 24/7.
No, that was a great.
And I went, what a great thing. I'm down there all the time already working. So I'll go work all day and then go run out to one of the feeders and see if something happens.
Or an
Right?
hour or two, yeah, no, that's
So I leveraged the pig population that we have to intentionally test stuff. And it's really fun.
No, I bet. Shut up.
Yeah.
I bet it is.
No,
I bet it is.
yeah. It's a,
Do you bow hunt at all?
he's
Not
getting
yet.
ready to.
You don't?
No, well, so
We're
I'm-
working on a deal.
You dealing with this guy and you don't?
Well, I don't want to.
Okay, so
I don't know anything about
Hold on, how do you let out the
No,
frustration and stuff? I mean, you
I
got-
want Barnett to stay dumb.
he doesn't want me to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, he's
I
going to
get-
be ruined.
I'll get lost down there.
He's so
you know?
wonderful right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This theoretical bullshit that he pulls out.
Yeah, the theoretical
If
actually.
you get the bow, you're going to be ruined.
I know it. That's
He's
he's
best
actually
friend.
talked me out of it. However, I'll say this. I do have an arrow gun. I do have a crossbow, right? And I use those things because in the testing, it's much easier. Like for somebody to come along and shoot for me so I can study or I can examine or I can run the camera or anything that allows me the freedom not to have to worry both about the shot and the data is good. So I'll have Troy shoot if I'm going to do a test or something that I really need to understand. I'll let Troy handle the bow and do the shot. I'll run the camera or I'll take the data, I'll record it. Because I know what I'm going to need when I get home that I might forget if I'm doing all
you're in
that
the middle
myself.
of No, it's understood.
So a two-man test when you're doing experiments like this.
Especially
He's
with
on the dog on camera and you can shoot.
Especially with the high-speed cameras, a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
a
you
lot more
can
work.
teach him to run a high speed camera and you can shoot.
But yeah. Okay. So okay. That's so my growing up was rifle shooting and duck
Birds,
hunting.
Birds.
Duck hunting because I have a dog and I want to get her out and run her all the time. And so big game to me, like I grew up squirrel hunting, which is what people they look down on it. But in East Texas, man, that's king. People love to do it, and it's hard if you're shooting with a rifle.
Oh, with a rifle, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
out to
Oh,
50
yeah.
yards, you're trying to shoot them in the head with solid points.
Ouch.
It's a
skill.
It's a skill, right? I love that. But as I was growing up, becoming a teenager and everything, I mean, this is when I was a kid, and
You were a kid?
back in the day.
Back in the 1800s.
Yeah, so when we got to the point where people wanted to shoot deer,
You were.
yeah, so we got to the point where people wanted to shoot deer, they'd put a salt block out or some kind of sweet block out there, molasses block or something, go in a stand and wait for the deer to show up and just, kill it. And I'm like, to me, that wasn't hunting. To me, that was just waiting for something to happen. Remember, I grew up hunting where
actively, yeah.
right, stalking, doing the things with that the word hunter implies. And to me, sitting in a stand shooting at an animal that's been baited wasn't really that unique or sporting or enjoyable. I just didn't care for it.
No,
So I didn't do it. I did love bird hunting though, and
that's
I've
very
always had
active sport, yeah.
It's a very active sport, and the thing that really got me into hunting was when I got my first dog, and I wanted to train the dog, but I realized that I needed to be trained more than the dog did. The dog knew naturally what it wanted to do, right? A Labrador Retriever kind of knows how to retrieve. I didn't know how to get the dog to perform the way that the dog
You wanted them, yeah.
that I wanted him. And so I got involved in that and the field trials and hunt tests, and really went off in that direction for a long time. And I still have it. I'm on my third lab now, you know, and so that's been a period of 30 years or so. So it wasn't until I found I have a newfound hatred of pigs that, and I enjoy
What happened?
That's because that got you hungry.
What triggered that?
Huh?
What triggered that? The newfound hatred of
Playing with me and finding out it's not that easy.
It is not easy, and they're tough. They're really tough, and they got hide and skin and bone and heavy bone structure. And there's only certain locations on the animal that you should shoot them to really make sure that you kill them. And so, to me, naturally, moving from the gun world into the archery world, both from the idea that it's easier to test with a gun, and it's easier for me to shoot. I just started shooting an arrow gun and got started down in that direction, right? But now, as time is going on, I'm starting to talk more and show up more on more videos, right? Podcasts and things like yours.
And Troy talking Cheryl.
Yeah, well, listen,
He's also left-handed, so I don't have a bow for
he
it.
doesn't have a bow, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, I can shoot my gun. But I need, and I'll admit this, I need to go down that rabbit hole in order to relate to the audience who's having problems, right? Because if they're having problems and they've been doing this, I'll have problems too.
It was funny, one day we were at that hill, we have a lab right out here. And I was shooting, and I don't know, we were 40 yards out doing something, maybe 50. And I shot a group, I wasn't really trying, but I shot a group about like that big, and he goes, "Is that as good as you can do?" And it was an innocent question. No, it was an innocent question. You would have said it more pointed at me and kicked me in the ass, right? Because you shoot a bow. He was actually being innocent about it. It was really cool because he was just like, "Shouldn't you be able?" I mean, we like he's an accuracy guy, right? And I was like, "Well, wait till you get one." I mean, it's just not. I knew what he was asking. Like, shouldn't it like be more accurate than that? It's an offhand sport. And until you get one,
there's a day.
you were completely innocent asking me that question. He can kick me in the ass and it's fine, we do it all the time. But in that context, we were sitting there and he has, you could see it, he goes into this mode, where he's in this freaking Rocket Man mode. And he was like, "Man, shouldn't it be more accurate than that?" And I was just like, I didn't even worry about it because I was like, "Yeah, you wait, you'll get one and go. Your group will be that big at 50, you'll be like, how in the hell does anyone do this?"
Yeah.
Right, and then you
Oh,
get around
50,
somebody
yeah,
who's world
definitely.
class and watch them just drive.
Right.
Because I'm not a great shot. That's why I shoot 40 yards and under. I know that I'm not that good way the hell out there, and I don't think it's fair or for me to shoot that far.
But it's a matter of practice. I mean, if I shoot like start somewhere in June and shoot almost every day at least a couple arrows, I'm much better by October versus if I have 3 children, wife vacations and work, I don't get to touch the bow until September, and then in that case, my shooting opportunities down.
One thing that's interesting about
Yeah.
archery is though, if you'll shoot 50 or 60, 20 becomes a slam dunk.
Oh yeah, but
Because you have to be so much more stable.
Yeah.
At 15, if you get groups like this at 50, you walk up a swing, you're like, God, the target looks like it's that. It's like
It's true.
They say when they see the PGA guys putting real good, it looks like he's putting at a watermelon. Like the
Right.
hole looks like that big, right?
No, really, I'm super excited about getting a bow and diving in because I feel like I need to. If I'm going to talk about this and I'm not living it, I'm not doing it. I'm just talking.
I'm ready for the first time we put you on a pig and I get to see the arrow bouncing on the rest. That is one of the coolest things.
You're not going to see that.
I will see that.
Well, he'll put it in the video, but
Everybody will do that.
Everybody gonna do that.
Everybody go, Rocket Man is just a human after all.
I had that.
He doesn't know what he's talking
I
about.
can't keep the pin on the thing.
I had that when we went, buddy of mine and I, we went to Oklahoma, big hunting of the feeders and everything. I have 20, 30 pigs in front of me and I'm afraid to move because I'm still in the deer hunting mode
Yeah.
and 300-degree vision, and they're like 10 yards in front
Yeah,
of me
you just-
moving up,
you just rip
and
it.
I'm just sitting, like, that one's probably looking at me, that one's looking until they left.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Hey. Let's see what else I have here. Okay. Yeah, that's not interesting, the biggest hog. Oh, you know what? You know what? I remember in one of the videos you, on tuning videos, you mentioned the mic. Paper tunes, whereas you like to shoot towards the target and go around and see.
So
what
I did that for people.
Well, when it comes to paper tune, from my interest, from my
Experience, yeah.
say, does he shoot at whatever 6 feet?
7 yards.
So he does, and then does he go further and push it to the
No,
side?
Mike can shoot a bear shaft 100. He's really good. He's not normal.
But in general, recommendations. I mean, look,
So the reason
usually
why I
bush up,
didn't have
what have
paper,
you.
the reason why I didn't do paper is because it's just one more thing. I want people to take two. I want people to shoot a bear shaft,
Right.
just at anything, and see if it's from sideways. So anybody, most people have a target, and most people have a brick or something heavy laying around the house. The one thing about that is you need it to be as high as you are. If you shoot downhill, you're going to think they're going in ass high, they're not. Because the target, most of the targets are layered, and layers are horizontal to the ground, and they hit, and it tends to cockeye the arrow a little bit.
Right.
So you want the target even with you at the height of the arrow, preferably.
And steady, because otherwise
And you
target
can't
moves.
move around.
Yeah.
But if they'll just, you'll see it. If you just shoot a target, and if it's a little left or a little right, but when it's bad, it's going to be real obvious. But it can't be a bag. Bags
Right,
give you
right, right,
inconsistent
right. Yeah,
results.
hard target.
There's a few targets I bought. Some target, I don't remember what it's stuffed with some kind of cotton weave woven stuff, and has a mesh front, and I've got it. It's super inconsistent.
Right.
It stops arrows well, and they're easy to pull out. That's what they sell. They're not selling, hey, this is the Ranch Fairy Bear Shaft.
No, I get it.
That, but you just want like a block,
I like the blocks, yeah.
a deer target, anything, but it can't move. If it moves a little, you'll go crazy, and your arrow may be perfect. But if you've got a deer target on wobbly legs, it'll hit and the deer move like that, and you'll think, oh, you'll adjust it, and then the next one's, Arr. So you gotta have the target.
You have to have consistency.
But I wanted it simple. If I say, hey, you gotta build a paper stand, then you gotta do this, and you're just separating people from doing it.
No, I understand, and I'm not questioning
But
the method.
paper's the-
I was just curious, the distance from paper.
7, yeah.
So 7 yards, 7 yards, not
Done.
7 feet.
7 yards and done. It gives the shaft.
But that's in
time
the
to
bear
stay
shaft. Well, okay, well, let me ask you a question, and then maybe Darrell, a little bit more of your question. At the 7 yards, if you were shooting something heavier, it definitely has more time to stabilize that, because that heavy point is going to keep pulling it, right? Versus if I'm shooting at 6-7 feet, you can actually see how it leaves the air bow. Am I wrong on that?
So you want me to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you're shooting a heavy bear shaft arrow,
Yes.
what you're doing is you're slowing down the reactions to your bow.
Okay.
If you really want to see what your bow is doing, put a light point on there and shoot it. But then it's not
Light point
relatable,
being the-
like 100 grains.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
but then it's not relatable to what you actually want to
Well,
shoot. Okay?
I'm not an archer, I'm a hunter, so I'm prepping,
Yeah.
frankly, that's what I'm
You're
doing.
practicing with what you're going to shoot.
And I'm prepping, hey, train like we fight in the army, right?
I think that's
Yeah. And I'm
that's a great
prepping my
idea.
setup for,
Okay.
so keep going.
So you can shoot it at 7 feet and you'll get a certain result, right? You're going to shoot at 21 feet and you're 7 yards, you're going to get a little bit different result. Okay, different aerodynamics are things that are happening here than what are going to happen downrange. Okay, in one case, the most flex you're going to have off your bow is going to be right when you shoot it.
That's what
Okay,
I was thinking.
the biggest kick you're going to have is when you're going to shoot
Yeah,
it.
'cause-
But how do you know where that peak is? How do you know if it's going to be at 7 feet or if it's going to continue on? And so 21 feet magnifies the error. Okay, so you might be really good at 7 feet, except that you might see a bend in your arrow, right? But at 21 feet, you're going to see the effect of the aerodynamics of that bear shaft, and so 21 feet will exacerbate the errors that you'll see. So in my mind, if you're looking for bending, you shoot close to the bow. If you're looking for really aerodynamics, I
I'm
would shoot a
looking
little
for
further
plan
back.
B, and I'm looking for penetration as close to less vibration as possible.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm looking for penetration.
Yeah,
So,
well, remember, when a bear shaft takes off, it's not coming back.
Right.
It's going to continue to turn
Mhm.
because it's really you're shooting an unstable system,
Right.
which means it's going to pitch up and continue to pitch up all the way down range.
So if in a close distance I get a bullet hole, what does it mean from that standpoint? You just haven't start undoing.
I would-
haven't start.
I would say, and I know this is probably against what people do,
Sure. I want to test
is
it.
back up to 21 and shoot it again.
No, I want to test it.
Don't be satisfied with what you get at 7 feet.
And then I get a lot
At
of
20
people,
if it's what I have been doing.
a lot of
And I
people
will
tell
do
me
it.
that they shoot 7 yards, and they get pretty good results.
Mhm.
And if you take little tears, if you get a little left-hand quarter-inch tear and then you get a right-hand quarter-inch tear, you can turn it
You can
on.
up, yeah.
But you shouldn't expect every shaft in the system to absolutely bullet hole because you're shooting the stupid thing. But it can't be tearing like that, then the next one's like this and that. So we want them to all bullet hole, but don't sit out there and wear yourself out, get tired, and then the result's gonna be. It's like playing golf. You don't hit golf shots till you fail, because that's what your brain remembers. You hit golf shots till you're really peaking and you're hitting the shot, like you're hitting a knockdown draw. I used to carry a single digit handicap, and you're practicing a knockdown draw with a 7-iron at 160 yards. Once you hit that shot about 4 times, put the damn thing down and hit a swing of wedge. Don't swing till you fail, because you failed, right? One thing people say to me is, hey, at 21 feet, I'm getting bullet holes. At 20 yards, they're crazy. And I'm like, right, because you're the monkey hanging on. Just get the arrows pretty consistent at a certain distance, then fletch them and start shooting them. But so 7 yards is what Mike said. I've gone with that.
Okay, no, that's fine. I was just curious.
10 could be fine, but I just try to set people to say, at least stop thinking and don't do 7, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Just get them. The goal is to get the group of shafts to do the same thing.
Well,
And even Mike said,
Yeah.
if they all tear a little left, but they're all tearing a little left, they're going to be consistent.
very true.
He told me that.
Yeah, I remember.
He's like, I've done it.
understand that. Yeah, it makes sense.
But they're all the same. So you don't have one that launches and tears this way and launches this way and this way. He's the one who broke my brain on this, right? So when the shaft bends, the reason why we knock tune is you want to prevent one does this, then the next one does that. They're not consistent. If they
No, I
all
get that.
do this, then they're going to all do that with the fletchings on, right? But when one goes this way, one goes that way, and we've seen it. We've seen some crazy stuff on high speed. That shaft that went in like that, he goes, the point is up. And I was like, you're crazy. The point's 400 grains. He goes, nope, look at it. He's the one who saw it, because I figured it's heavy, it's going to go like that. It flew like that. It was
Field point.
unbelievable.
I know, right? Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's why. So just to add to that, one of the comments I got on one of the videos, I made a comment where we were talking about that 3-blade head, the new 3-blade head, and we were sitting out on the porch with Zach
The
talking
spinner
about that.
one, the one that you
No, the
were.
ranch fair.
No,
Oh,
the
the
ranch fair
ranch fair,
one,
yeah,
where we were sitting out on the cabin at the ranch house. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
at the ranch house, talking about
Zach wanted to know why I recommended 3 blades.
3-blade, and so I was saying, Zach asked a question about, well, does it make sense to align the arrowhead, the 3-blade arrowhead,
To
with
the
the 3 fletches?
Yeah,
And I said no.
doesn't matter.
Okay, I said it doesn't matter, and I got called out for that. Somebody in the comments, and I didn't respond to them, but I'm going to respond now, and I'll say this. No, the bottom line is, as far as the arrow is concerned, the alignment of the broadhead with the fletching doesn't matter, because your alignment will be different at 28 inches than it would be at 30 inches. The air that's coming over is circulating around the arrow, because if you think of the arrow standing still and the air is acting like this, it's acting like a corkscrew. You got no hope that the molecules that hit the blade up front on a 3-blade broadhead are going to be the same molecules that hit the
Molecules,
fletchings.
no, but I mean, if we are talking single barrels, like I have Ironman's single barrel, it's right helical, right? And I know that my bow, particular string, because when I used to have a different string, it would kick the arrow to the left. On offset, right now I have American Best bow strings, and freaking, I swear to God, I've tried multiple strings. They are American bowstrings. And anyway, and that one kicks it to the right. Well, so from what I once again I've been reading and hearing, and I would like to get your opinion on having if the bow kicks it to the right and you have a right single bevel and a right offset, it actually helps the arrow to spin faster.
We're figuring that out.
Okay, so you guys working on it right now, just trying to understand it? Okay.
Yeah. Let me finish that point because it's a very important point. I said no, it doesn't matter. And aerodynamically, that's true. But I didn't think about this. When you align the fletchings with the broadhead, what does the fletching align to?
Align the
Nothing.
No, it is. It's aligned to the string. You put the cock vane
to the
out.
string.
It's aligned to the string. So when people say, I want to align my broadhead with the fletching, what they're really doing is aligning the broadhead with the string. They're aligning the fletching with the string, and they just happen to be aligned together. Okay?
Yeah, but as soon as you let go,
I know,
it's kicking somewhere.
but here's the difference. Here's why they're claiming they're not saying it. They're saying, well, I align my fletching with the broadhead with the fletching. No, what you're doing is you're aligning the fletching with the string and the broadhead with the string, and they just happen to be aligned together. And what I'm saying is, if you do that, you're making sure that the broadhead is in the same, especially a single bevel two blade, is in the same position every time. If you align your broadhead with your fletching, you're really aligning it with the string. It does matter, especially with the single bevel two blade, because think about it. You've got
two blade meaning no bleeders, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right, like this, just like this, right? Some people say align it like this. Some people say align it like that. Okay. It depends on how you have your bow set up. If you have your bow set up a little bit knock high, you would probably want this to be vertical.
That's what
okay.
Troy likes.
Yeah. So what you're doing when you're aligning your broadhead with your fletching, you're really aligning your broadhead with the string so that you got your broadhead in the same position on every arrow that's coming out of the bow. So that's where your consistency comes from.
But the misunderstanding,
and that's what I got called out on.
That's fine. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
If you put all of the broadheads in the same position at launch, then they're going to be that much more consistent. I believe that. People think that the three blade head lined up with the three fletchings, that the same, there's like a line of air that's broken and going to this fletching. That is complete BS. Let me give a practical example. Let's put a 15-mile-an-hour crosswind into the math. You have now disrupted that whole conversation.
But you don't even have to go there. The whole point of having fletchings in the back is to spin the air.
And so that means the air is going
exactly,
to the vortex.
You know what? That kind of brings me to some other questions, some personal questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
So, you guys been working together, became friends, what have you, for let's call it 3 years, hypothetically, right? How did you evolve from your relationship and from knowledge that Darrel have been beating into that brick head of yours?
This is one of my favorite.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
This goes back to
This
you.
is one of my favorite Darrel Barnett quotes. You know why, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what your results are, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. And I say this all the time. He said it much more eloquently than that. But that's what he meant. I understood anecdotally what was happening. And now because of him, he's helped me understand what the hell is happening. Right? He's gotten me into some pretty complex math. I understand bending, rolling, yaw, pitch, some of the stuff the arrows were doing that I couldn't figure out. And this the experiments, we've actually had a lot of moments where we said, oh, this is definitely going to happen. And then we shoot the bow, and that shit goes out the window. We've literally stood there and gone, what? Like the arrow flying point up. I'm doing that again. That's BS. And did it again, and it went up and tore 18-inch tear in the paper.
Wow.
So, but now I understand, and I can talk. I don't know that anybody in the archery industry is better than this. There's nobody this complex in the whole industry that we've been able to find. There's a bunch of people talking a bunch of trash out there, but it's all anecdotal evidence. And I have a science head that I did not realize. I knew it, But I really enjoy, like he knows now from being around me, he throws a little nugget out there and says, hey man, you ought to look at this. Like the tank and the deals they put on the front of tanks to absorb the shock and shear the projectiles off.
Mhm.
What's that stuff called?
The reactive armor.
Reactive armor.
Yeah.
It's a deer jumping the string. So they have these things on the front of a tank that are angled.
Yeah, I know.
And when the projectile hits it, it blows up and goes like this. It cuts the projectile off and takes all the momentum out of it.
Mhm.
Well, when a deer jumps the string, they're dropping and your projectile's going like this and it hits and it's getting levered. And if you have a really light system, it explains why we see some crazy penetration on not terrible jumps.
Okay.
Like, okay,
Well, yeah.
but to an arrow that's 28 or 30 inches long, it's a ton of disruption, right?
Mhm.
That's the thing. Mike also started me off on this, started explaining things like not tuning. You're making them all bend the same direction. What the hell does that matter? Well, then yaw and pitch man comes along, and all of a sudden, it starts to evolve.
So have you evolved enough to be okay with taking perfectly aligned bow and twist it a little bit?
I only talk about that. No. I have the elites that have the set technology.
Yeah.
That stuff.
And I saw you taking it to
That's
shot.
so awesome.
Yeah.
The set technology is fantastic. You can take a little tear, turn the knob. It actually has directions also at Denny's menu.
Oh, they
Even
came
mine
out
can
with
do it.
Yeah.
And it'll shoot straight. But my argument with that is, I still believe wholeheartedly in testing all the point weights and bending the arrow.
Oh, that you can.
However,
Yeah.
the reason why I did that is 95% of the people have never seen a draw board.
I hear.
They don't understand anything about bending the limbs. It's like black magic. And the guys in the shops are good at it. They can make stuff fly. But for an average guy sitting in his backyard who doesn't have a clue about that stuff, take a pretty squared up bow and bend this different.
No. I hear it. I hear
So
that.
that's why I say that. That's why
I bet you biggest pushback you get on that particular subject is from out west guys that need that distance in addition to.
yeah, so I'm real practical about that.
Yeah.
So they can, the Western guys are really hard on this concept.
Yeah.
My question to them is, do you know it's going to penetrate at 60? And I know from the math, because of that guy, we've done it. So we have the kinetic energy.
I watched those videos. Yes.
388 grain arrow launches at 75 and hits at 53 foot-pounds, going 252. Launched at 295. There isn't an idiot out in the West that shoot a 250 foot per second bow. But they'll shoot an arrow that goes 60 yards and is going 250 feet per second at impact. They're not thinking about impact. They're thinking about the launch. And you're shooting at an elk.
No doubt.
So that's where the mass comes in.
I was talking to Bill, that 180 show that I managed to get into. I was talking to Bill from Ironville.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think his setup is 550 grainage.
Somewhere in the low
Yeah, 550. No. It's
Yeah, that's a good
550
number.
grainage. So, like, to him, he found that balance where the arch and the penetration meet plus.
He's actually a little wrong. We've got the math on that. Sorry, Bill, you're wrong. 600 actually has a more consistent trajectory
Oh, really?
than 525 does.
Okay.
If you were to just say, so in golf, it would be better if all the golf clubs are the same length. To me,
Okay.
why all the shafts are different lengths? Because you already have a club face that's different, right? But the trajectory of a 600 grain arrow is much more consistent over distance. And so then you would have be managing the same pin gaps further out as opposed to really tight and then they start to open up.
Right.
He's shooting that because it's worked for him. He kills the hell out of elk. Got it. Sorry, Bill. But actually, if you do the graphs, about 600 is where you see this real consistent parabola.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get beyond that, you start to see it. You start to see the same trajectory as a 300 grain arrow. That's funny.
Yeah, that from there.
Because it slows down so much, right?
Yeah, right, because it gets
falls
eaten
out.
alive by drag.
Yeah.
So Darrel, hopefully you didn't think that I'll forget. So how did you evolve by hanging with?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So let me give you a background in DoD work. DoD work, you work at your desk for a year, maybe 2 years, And then you get to go test and spend millions of dollars out on the test range for 2 weeks after that year, right? And so one of the things working with Troy is, hey, I heard you talking about this, you were saying this the other day, let's go shoot it. And we'll be out that day.
That's agile.
Agile. Shooting, right? And so the whole thing with the archery and the reason I'm excited about it, as much as I was working for the government, is that everything, all the experiments, everything that you'd want to try to do is right there available at your hands. You just got to know what questions to ask or what test setup would answer those questions. So we get together, we talk about everything from life to why is it better to shoot a 500 grain arrow than a 300 grain arrow or something like that, right? And everything in between, right? And so I think one of the things that it's done is it's kept me engaged, because I can be easily bored.
Oh.
And so, but when you're dealing with animals and you're dealing with unknowns and you're dealing with trying to help people who aren't educated to the point that if I start talking and I start talking up here, it may sound great and the technology may be great, all of that, but I'm not able to get my point across because I'm talking too high. What Troy really has helped me to understand is how to relate to the audience that you're speaking to, right? And so what the best part of that relationship is I might have a concept that's way up here, right? Talking about aerodynamic jump or talking about first bending or all of these engineering terms. But Troy can take that, knowing what he knows, and deliver it out to the audience in a way that they can understand it. And I think that's the synergy that
he told me
bring.
early on that an outgoing engineer doesn't look at his own shoes, he looks at other people's shoes. So I've gotten his head up. He's actually way cooler. For somebody who's an engineer,
And an introvert.
he can handle people and talk, and he's able to bring concepts down. And I see him when he's talking, like on these videos with THB, and he's dying to go, oh, I can talk about it. Like I get the wizard hat out, I get crazy. But he stays, you do a good job of trying to stay with the audience, because the stuff that I talk about now was mind-boggling 3 years ago. I mean, my head was spinning all the time. But now it's all, like I said, you know what you got, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, sorry, I know now. And pretty dangerous, this is a pretty dangerous duo.
Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. So we just seem to get along. We have a common goal, and that is to educate people on things that will make hunting more ethical.
Yep.
Bottom line.
That's really the bottom line. We want you to kill everything. I talked about this I've talked about this on about 4 other podcasts in particular. There's a big pig I was hunting last year, and it was one of the big ones that I like to hunt, just to hunt. And I was going to video and all that. I hunted him 9 times. I finally got him. Like, he's super smart, and he kept busting me, and stuff kept going on. He comes out, he's 15 yards. I wiggled, and he waggled. And I hit him 3 inches behind the crease. The arrow skipped through him, went 20 yards past him. Arrow system didn't fail. I did. He didn't die. I shot completely through him. We found a little bit of blood. We went the next day, went marched all over the damn place. He showed up at another feeder 2 weeks later. Didn't kill him. Right? I gut shot him. You can't have the system fail. You can fail. That's the goal. That's really my goal now. I want you to be shooting such a great arrow system that the only failure is shot placement. And I missed one. I mean, I screwed up. And that's going to happen. But if it goes bonk or breaks or dulls or the blades fly off or it flies all over the place and you say, well, I can't shoot past 25 with these broadheads that long. Well, you shouldn't be in the woods with that anyway, but you're setting yourself up. You're leaving the truck with a batting average that's 500, not 1,000, right? 0 is a special number. 0 is a special number.
Yeah, you're opening yourself up for giving it that much more.
You already know that you're leaving you don't know it, but you're leaving the truck with a system that isn't necessarily going to be efficient all the time. And he thinks like that too. Because he designed tank projectiles, and if it bounces off the tank, the other somebody shoots back. If the tank blows up, you win. If it goes bong, they know which direction the bong came from, and they swing the turret around and say, hey bro, And they hope you have Barnett on your side with a good projectile that blows the tank up. We can't do, deer.
And right now, technology is, they'll track it right away and they'll fire off
Yeah, right.
before even round gets there.
Yeah, right.
Almost.
Right.
Fun fact, Russians now bring in T-62s into Ukraine because they ran out of regular tanks.
Fantastic.
I know. No.
No T90s, no T80s,
No,
none of
It was
those.
all stolen. They would, one of the gents or brigade commanders, just as an officer, just shot himself. They start opening up the canned, the winterized vehicles, and they would have 1 out of 10 working.
It's interesting to me that
Corruption.
Ukraine, I think Ural is in Ukraine.
Which one?
Is it Ural, U-R-A-L? But anyway, they're a big tank manufacturer. I think the T-80s were all made in Ukraine.
Maybe, I mean, I'm from Kharkov, but see, when they, and that's a subject for different podcasts.
Of course.
The way what communists did from 17s and on, especially Stalin, what they did is they would get charcoal in Ukraine and steel in Ukraine, let's say, dig them up, hypothetically speaking. Take it to Lithuania to mold it, take it to Kazakhstan to make rough parts, take it, so they were tied in, right? So it's really, they might be assembling them in a while, but really, one last questions.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
That was actually a great question.
That is.
Nobody's asked us
I don't
that.
think anybody's asked us that before.
I can repeat it back. I can repeat it backwards.
Right.
Have you, based on experiences and people talking back and stuff, determine can you put a good balance per? And I think I'm already see a problem with this question, but for on species, if there's a middle ground where you want to be, let's say, at 50 pound, you want to have, let's say, 550 for whitetail up front. Hypothetically, something like that. Do you have some kind of balance going back to the Western people?
So an arrow that I do an all arrow.
Yeah.
So I built an arrow.
Not do it all. No, do it all for specific species. Right. So let's say I'm on I was telling Darrel earlier. I have 3 children: 13-year-old, 7 and 5.
Mhm.
They're about to turn 8 and 6. Let's say I'm going to put 13-year-old. He's not going to pull 70 pounds. He's going to be pulling somewhere around 40s, right?
I would still have them shooting 500 plus grains with a good cut on contact.
So
and I would just limit their distance. So we've all gone from rifles down to archery, and you
Right.
cut your distance down by 2/3,
Right.
and that's the outer edge of archery,
Quarters, yeah.
right? And then when you're a smaller shooter, you've got to cut your distance, but you still need a high mass projectile. You still need the penetration of momentum, right? We got Rhonda, who's Rob Nielsen, the president of the Ashby Foundation. His
Okay.
wife shoots 38 pounds at 24 or 5 inches.
Now
She shoots
that's-
575 grains.
Slingshot.
Right, she has no
Right.
power stroke, right? She shoots 575 grains of arrows with 31%. They're full 12-factor arrows. She does not shoot a single bevel. She shoots silver flame, double bevel. And she has shot completely through pass-throughs on 3 nilgai.
I know who.
Nilgai.
What is that?
It's an antelope that lives down in South
Okay,
Texas.
sure.
Like 600 or 700 pounds. They're built like a
Oh yeah, the big one with the speed.
No, they just got little short horns like
Oh,
this.
really?
But they're big, solid animals. And she's shot completely through one. No, 3. Okay? She shot one at 40 and got a pass through. 40, shooting 38 pounds.
40 yards. Well, yeah, but remember, based on you guys' research, really truly that arrow doesn't lose. If it's a heavy FOC,
Because the arrow's
it's not gonna-
the broadhead's efficient as hell. super
Right,
sharp,
that's the point.
Last year in the testing, she took the same bow
Mhm.
and on a bull Cape buffalo,
Whew.
down on the ground, okay? She shot, I think there were 750 grain arrows, okay? She had 5, this is all rib hits, okay? 5 arrows where the broadhead hit
Freaking rib is about this big.
the broadheads 5 in a row with 38 pounds hit the other rib cage.
Wow. So not to put it in with
38 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting low poundage, you just have to accept that 35 or 30 may be your max. I prefer you at 15 just because it's better, right? That's the only thing. But you still need a high mass projectile with a super sharp rod handle.
Oh, no, those,
Yeah.
there's no question.
Yeah, right.
All right, couple hunting questions and we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
Do you see, and once again, I'm coming from the whitetail world, that's something that I watch year-round,
Yeah.
deer porn, right? Do you see correlation between pig movement based on the moon?
Absolutely.
Not, or yes?
Absolutely.
You do. Based on overhead underfoot or based on illumination?
It seems like the full moon slows everything down. So I think my theory on the full moon is they're up 24 hours. Yeah, they're up at night, they're up in the day.
No, I hear you.
So they can be up all the time because their eyes are already great. Right? If their eyes weren't great at night, they'd be dead. So I have seen the first quarter and last quarter seem to be the best.
Really?
I've got a friend of mine, we started booking hunts, my buddy Chris, on the quarter moons. He would look for dates and try to make draws, and we see a lot more animals out in the
Very
day.
interesting.
The pigs are very moon conscious. If you hunt them somewhere where they're in a high fence area and that's the only food they got, that doesn't matter.
Well, yeah.
But like ours, we have low fence and all that. So between the dark of the moon and the full moon is the best 10 days to hunt feral hogs in the afternoon. Because that moon, it comes up.
And in the afternoon, meaning 5 o'clock, or afternoon? Meaning,
As soon as the moon comes up, they'll start moving. But if you're hunting feeders, I prefer to have the moon up in the daytime.
Yeah.
And then they're usually there 30
So,
minutes.
hold on. We're talking about moons showing up in the blue sky
see it.
in the middle of the daggone day.
Yeah.
And they will be moving at that
I've been
time.
moving on that moon's.
Wow, very interesting.